Einstein said that the most important decision we will ever make is to decide whether we believe that we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. The most important decision we will ever make. And our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, believed in that too. He spoke about it often, that we live in a benevolent universe. I firmly believe that too. A few talks ago, I shared about the story of my childhood, and we all have our stories, don't we? All of us. We all have our pain, we all have our traumas and all the things. And I'm not going to go back into that today, but what is important for me to always remember is that in the period from age 12 to 20, when I was in so much pain that I didn't want to be here anymore, I didn't believe I lived in a friendly universe. It hurt, and I wanted to end my life and tried that a few times, was not successful, thankfully. And when I felt that way once again, what I heard was, if you are successful at this, you will never know the joy on the other side of it. And that got my attention, that voice. And I didn't have anything to lose. I thought, I'm going to get curious about that. And I've been curious about it ever since. That divine guidance, guiding us all the time. It seemed that that was the moment I finally could hear it, for whatever reason. We live in a friendly universe. And each one of us has that divine presence, that benevolent presence right here within you, guiding you all the way, nudging you, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, and in different ways are we guided. It was not long after that I sort of accidentally fell into theater. I ended up in a play and fell in love with it. And I thought, I've found my thing. This is the thing. This is the thing that makes me happy. And it became really almost like my first church. It was my home and my community. My community were all the misfits there in the theater. We found each other. We found a place where we could connect. And I did theater, and I did play after play after play, and I just knew I wanted to create theater that uplifted and inspired and transformed audiences. Could that be possible? And that was my thing. And so I graduated from college, and I was looking at graduate schools. I wanted to get my Master of Fine Arts degree, and I auditioned, and there were 5 schools that were interested in me and courting me a little bit, and I was like, how am I going to figure this out? And one of those schools was the University of California, Irvine, and I went down there and visited, and I was called to go to the beach. And I went to the beach, and I was standing there on the ocean. Jesus. I was not standing on the ocean, but maybe this is things to come. No, just kidding. Standing on the beach. And I started to feel some energy in my body. And I started to feel it getting higher and higher, this high vibration I was feeling in my body. What we tend to call nowadays a whole body yes. And that's how I determined where I went to school. It wasn't by looking at, on paper, what all the different schools had. I went to the spiritual. Okay, this is my school. And thank goodness I did that. Because not only did I receive great training there, but it's also where I met my first husband, and I wouldn't have my 2 daughters today had I not listened. And that's the most important thing for me that came out of that, listening to divine guidance. So there I was, Master of Fine Arts degree, came out of that school, got married, had my daughters, did that for a while, and then things went awry. I'm going to tell you about that in another talk. Things went awry, but then they were coming back online, and I was listening, just kept listening. What is my guidance? What is my guidance? And I started practicing trusting that guidance. How many of you are taking that on as a practice? Trusting your yay. Oh gosh, it's the best guide you'll ever have right here inside of you. What is our mission? We teach spiritual practices that create joy-filled lives. This is a spiritual practice that has created my joy-filled life. Probably the most important, because if I hadn't listened, I don't know what would have happened with the trajectory of my life. So I was practicing trusting that inner voice, that guidance. And one day, it said, go see this play. Have you experienced your inner guidance like that? Tell you go around the corner and go to that store. Right? There are stories like this for lots of us where we end up, something grand comes of it. So I've learned to trust even the little everyday things. Go to this play. And so I went to this play, and it was wonderful. And then the voice said, go tell the producer. Okay. So I went and told the producer how much I loved the play. And then he said, you're an actress, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, and do you sing and dance? And I said, I sing and I move. And he said, great. We have a show that we're about to put on. Auditions are tomorrow at 2:00. I think you'd be perfect for it. Can you be there? And I said, yes. I didn't even know if I could. But I made it happen, showed up, got cast, and that show ended up being nominated that year for the best comedy ensemble for all of LA. Yeah! And we ended up on the LA Weekly magazine on the cover, which was the arts magazine at the time. It was a big thing, and what happened from that is I started getting invited into show after show. I wasn't even having to audition. People were like, we would love you in this, and they were inviting me. And so it was great, and I could feel this unfolding of my life as an actress. So this is the backdrop where I went to a visioning class at Agape, and I'm thinking, I'm going to vision on my career as an actress. And when I was sitting there, what I heard was, you're going to be a minister. So maybe you can imagine how odd that was for me, and why I thought I must be hearing somebody else's vision. I'm an actress. What? Minister? I'd never even thought of that. Although I could look back in my life, and in addition to wanting to create plays and shows in my neighborhood, I also was one of those persons who, when someone was crying, I always wanted to go and support them. So that was odd, and it took me 5 years to answer that call. And that's how it goes sometimes, right? Have you heard those nudgings and it maybe takes a little while before you say yes to it? That's okay. We say yes when we're ready, right? When we're really ready. So I'm really glad I listened. I don't think I'd be here right now if I didn't. I don't think I would have been with this guy. In fact, if I may tell a story. This is a story, though, before I tell you, this is a story that Cliff said, you have to tell this story. You have to tell it, because he knew what I was talking about today. So he's the one who told me I could tell this story. Okay. All right. So when we met, we pretty quickly had a yes to each other. We pretty quickly were like, we could feel it. Like, I think this is my person. Listening to that guidance within. I think this is my person. And that's what I had been coming to trust, is that voice, that guidance, divinity right here. But when I went to share it with my people, my friends, my family, all the loved ones, they were like, he's quite a bit older than you. What's that going to look like down the road? And I was like, I hadn't even thought of that. So what I did was I tuned in, and I said, is this my person? I still got the yes. And then other people were like, he doesn't have a job. And I'm thinking, I think at that point he'd had 92 or something. He'll find another one. So I tuned into myself again, is this my person? Kept getting the yes. Trusting the yes, trusting in the spiritual, not in the what was on paper. How many of us do that? We're just looking at what's on paper, what makes sense? What makes sense to my mind? Oh, this guy doesn't make any sense. Thank goodness I didn't listen to that. I still have a yes, honey. Oh, good. And so this is, what I'm sharing with you is this practice of trusting in divine guidance and how it leads us to our highest good. This is what Ernest Holmes talked about a lot. This divine guidance that is right here coming from our soul that's nudging you, shouting at you sometimes, but with love, always with love, never with fear. So New Year's Day this year, it's one of the days I love to vision. And I was visioning for highest idea for my life, tuning in to the unfolding, getting a little more information, as we do with visioning, about my own life. And what I heard was, or what I saw the cosmic event of a supernova. And then it was almost like I was watching a movie, and it panned backward, and I could see the profile of my face, and my mouth was wide open, like this, arms back, and golden sparkles were coming out. And what I thought was, oh, this is the year I'm going to unleash my voice. And I had a vision statement. I am a spacious, soulful, sovereign supernova. I'm a spacious, soulful, sovereign supernova. Each of us has this, right? Each of us has this high idea of our life. Now, that was a big deal for me, and I'll tell you why. To see my mouth wide open. In 2023, I gave my very first talk here, and you all were so amazing and so affirming and encouraging. And then I had to give a second talk. Notice my language, I had to. I was terrified. I was feeling like I would let you all down. And I was so scared. I was losing sleep, and my jaw locked. Yeah, I couldn't open it. I couldn't do this. And so I have been physiotherapy, chiropractor, massage, like working this, and I've been in pain. The pain is higher sometimes, lower sometimes. So to see that in my vision was pretty remarkable. This has been over a year now of having to work my jaw to help my mouth open fully again. And so listening to that voice, though, I'm trusting it. Then what happened is International Women's Day. I was writing a love letter to women. And I was thinking about the Dorothy Parker show that I was about to bring. And I was thinking about how happy I was that I was going to bring this woman's voice forward to people who may not know who she is. And all of a sudden, I felt the high vibe again. How does your soul speak to you? When you feel or hear your intuition, how does it speak to you? Because I think we all hear it and feel it in different ways. But it's a high vibe. And we all have this at hand. We all have it at hand. You have this at hand. So I was feeling the high vibration again. Oh, I'm just sitting in my living room. Here it is, high vibration. And I went into a full-blown spiritual experience. And what I saw before my eyes were these two hands. The cosmos was the backdrop, and these two glowing hands coming together, and I heard that divine voice say, "It's time to bring these parts together, the artist and the minister." And I just sobbed. It was in my trusting of divine guidance, it's a surrender, but not a lying down and not being present, but it's a surrender and a trust. Again, I want to come back to trust. It took me 5 years to say yes to minister, and in that time, I was also letting go of what I thought my life would be. And so to have this occur, I could see I'm reclaiming this part of myself. Oh, they're supposed to be together. And I could feel a lightness coming over me, and I could feel a wholeness that I thought I was feeling before, but this was really feeling like, oh my gosh, I can feel all of myself. And I was recognizing this is a weaving. This is an unfolding that there's no way I can know it from before. I can only see it looking back. And maybe you know what I'm talking about if you look back on your life and you can see all these beautiful threads, even the hard ones, have been weaving the tapestry of your life. And what happened in that moment was my jaw didn't hurt anymore. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'm not feeling any pain. Can I open my mouth? And oh my God. It was an instant healing of my jaw. And so I bring this to you today as a practice to encourage you in, to support you in, because each one of us is a masterpiece. Each one of us is a work of art. Each one of us is playing our part in the grand unfolding of all of life. And what is it? Like us being here, we can all acknowledge, right, that life, we're given this life, and what a gift that is. And what a gift back to life it is when we allow ourselves to unfold into who we came here to be. Yes, thank you, yes, you got it. Because what is life deeply desiring itself, but to know itself, to experience itself, to express itself. So of course it's whispering to us and nudging us along the way. for the high idea of each of us to be fully realized. Do you see that? You are so important. You matter to that grand tapestry of life. Divine guidance, it is with you right here now. How many of you, if you just tuned into your heart right now, what do you hear? Ask, what am I to know in this moment? What am I to know in this moment? Tune in and just listen. Trust it. Whatever it is, trust it. I encourage you to take this on as a deep practice in your life, whether it's tuning in like that, whether it's in meditation and you're listening, whether it's in the profound practice of visioning, you're tuning in and aligning, forever aligning to the high idea of who you are. That voice, trust it. Trust it. Trust it. Because you matter, and you matter to all of life. Thank you so much. I love you.